Do you know that scene in Parks and Rec where Andy breaks it? Is it when he breaks his legs or something and he says, the show must go wrong instead of the show must go on? I'm feeling that right now. I feel like I want to shave my head and I want to stop filming this video that I just started filming. Please bear with me. I don't know where the attachment for my microphone is, so I can't use that. So I have to talk louder than I normally do, and I'm usually kind of quiet. And I just wanted to do my mid-year freak out tag with you guys, but I'm having a bit of a crash out, so typically we start with the best book so far. Best book of the year that I read. This is my favorite that I've read. I'm still so obsessed with it. I think about it all the time. I read this one in March, and that would be Shark Heart by Emily Haybeck. She broke my heart. If you could see the tabs in a book that I read, that's like a good indicator that like I spent some time with the book. I loved this book so much, and it made me weep. So poetically written. I mean, some of it is almost written in verse in a way. It's a very quick read because some pages are not like fully there, or it just takes like a few lines on a page. I'm looking through it right now and I'm like actually dying to read it again, even though it was devastating to me. My friend warned me when I read it it was gonna be sad, and I knew it was gonna be sad, and then it was confirmed. Everything in this world is basically like ours, except for there's sort of a metaphor for a terminal illness being that people change, that they turn into animals, and this happens in various different ways to different people in the story, but the main plot line is that this woman's husband of 1 year is turning into a shark. And I mean, in some ways you could replace the story with like a cancer diagnosis for him, but also it was so unique in that like it was such an original representation of terminal illness that it kind of changed how you think of grief and how you think of this loss. And you're watching this change happen and this person go through this thing and this couple go through this together. And it was very, very powerful. I still love so much of the writing in here. There are actually a lot of different relationships that I like. It's more than just like a romantic love story in that sense. And I just loved reading it so much. I immediately was like, oh, this is going to be probably one of my favorite books. I look back on it very fondly. It still gives me that feeling when I think about it, which is a good indicator to me that it's probably my favorite one. And I read it so quickly, and I wanted other people to read it so quickly, and my mom read it after I did, and there's just so much in it that's so special to me. Oh, I could talk about it all day. The best sequel that I read was definitely Harrow the Ninth, though I did finish the Broken Earth trilogy, and that was like honestly at the same level for me. But Harrow the Ninth was so like what the heck at the end that I was like, huh? And also mind blown. And it's so funny without taking away from how heartfelt the characters are. Harrow the Ninth is a sequel to Gideon the Ninth. I haven't read Nona the Ninth yet, but that's the next book in the series. The Locked Tomb series is so good. I loved Gideon. I almost loved this one more. Gideon felt a little bit more tight, a little bit easier for me to understand because it was so new, and I kind of felt like the main character of that didn't fully understand what was going on, so it was like, okay. In this one, like the magic system, the necromancy, I've said it before and I'll say it again, it sounds like Tamsin Muir knows what she's talking about when she writes this magic. Like, that she's been there and she's experienced it. But I just loved Harrow the Ninth. I wanted to give her a big hug. Harrow kind of reminds me of like a sopping wet black cat that says like, ew, don't touch me, don't look at me, but like purrs when you like give her a chance. That's kind of how this character felt to me, and I love her so much. And I love the story. I just love the story, and I love the world, and I'm so confused by it in like a science way. Like, I'm okay that I don't understand it because I'm not like an expert in this yet. But with time and with my siblings' help, I will one day understand this better. But I loved it regardless of me understanding the magic system perfectly. And that's kind of the fun of these stories, is that you have a lot of questions, and like the internet space surrounding it is very fascinating, and the fandom is really cool. So best sequel so far. So the new release that I have not yet read, but do own because I saw it in the store, is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. I've been having a hard time saying that, so we're just struggling through. This is another V.E. Schwab. I read only one of hers ever, which was The Secret Life of Addie LaRue. I both loved and am like kind of meh about that book at the same time, and I can't fully explain it. It was beautifully written. I know I will like the writing in this one because that's never my complaint with V.E. Schwab, even though, again, I've only read one of her books. I always feel like I've read more of hers, but I just think I like her vibe. That I know I would like some other books. I'm really interested in reading Vicious and Vengeful, but this one I'm gonna read. I mean, the only description I've had of it is toxic lesbian vampires. So I don't really know actually what much of it's about, but there's like that history time skip thing that I think she does really well. And I've just been getting good vibes, but it's beautiful. Look at it. Anyway, my most anticipated release for the second half of the year is coming out in August, so super soon, will be Hemlock and Silver by T. Kingfisher. Now, if you know anything about me, you probably know that T. Kingfisher has become probably my favorite author. I've already read, I think, 3 of hers this year. And she just has so many, she writes a lot. And she writes horror and fantasy, but in ways that I appreciate, and I love her humor. Hemlock and Silver, from what I understand, is a Snow White retelling, but with her retellings, I'm never bored, and I don't ever feel like it's generic. So, we love T. Kingfisher in this house. We beat me. And my mom and sibling and I are excited to read that one. We just love T. Kingfisher and everything that she puts out. And now I just can't stop thinking about it. I'm so excited. And it's close to my birthday in August, so that'll be fun. Yeah. My biggest disappointment of the year, I'm going to say, unfortunately, was Bear by Julia Phillips. I had seen this book all around. I loved the cover. Yes, I liked the title was Bear, and then there would be a bear in it. Because I love bears a lot. And it takes place in the Pacific Northwest, which I also love. I did not like this book as much as I wanted to. It kind of felt like it was never getting to where I wanted it to. And I couldn't get in with the fear and the concern that the characters had. It just didn't feel tangible to me. It didn't feel like I just couldn't connect with it, which I felt really bad about, but at the same time, it's like, that's okay. That happens. I do feel like the writing was good. And I did care about the characters, but I wasn't as compelled by what was compelling them, if that makes sense. It was sad. It was interesting. It was a little scary, but not as much of any of those things that I wanted it to be. And for a title and being about my favorite animal, I just wasn't a huge fan of this one. It was a little lacking for me. I felt like it could have gone through another round of like solidifying it. But it was well written, I will say. But yeah, my biggest disappointment, I think. My biggest surprise of the year is a book called Definitely Better Now. Right now, I literally know the author's name and it's gone. So I'm going to put the picture and the author on screen. But Definitely Better Now was a book that I got through Book of the Month. Not a spawn, and I'm not currently using Book of the Month. But what I like about Book of the Month when I do use it is that I tend to read books I wouldn't normally have on my radar. Definitely Better Now is it's a cute but like good and heartfelt contemporary book about a young woman who is, like, when you started the book, coming up on her 1-year anniversary of sobriety. It's following her experience with AA meetings, with her relationship with her father, and then this like through line story of this romance with this guy at work. And it's so cute. Like, the romance was so sweet. I like a sweet romance, but I liked that it wasn't just that. And I think like it could actually make a really cute movie, if that makes sense, like how it played in my head. There was a lot in it. Like, I don't personally deal with addiction, but I know a lot of people who have and do. And it was like reading some of the people in my life whom I have loved and do love. And it was really beautiful. Her relationship with her father was very interesting. There was one particular scene that made me cry in a coffee shop, and my husband was like, "Oh, I didn't realize it was one of those books." I was like, "I guess it is." I shared it with my mom, and that's the reason I don't have it physically with me, is because I shared it with my mom. She's going to lend it to people because it's such a good book. I honestly, one of my favorite books of the year. It just made me happy. I will definitely reread that one. It's like turning on a rom-com that has like a surprising amount of like gravity and heart to it without being like not romantic and not like there was still a lot of comedy, and I loved the main character, and I found her messiness also very sweet, especially where she hasn't experienced hardly any romance as a sober person. Like, that's not a familiar experience for me, but it was handled so well in the book, I think. And I loved it a lot, and I would definitely like read it again. I read this, I think it was like one of the first books I read this year, and I was like off to a really good start with that one. It's probably what helped me read so many books so far this year. The next question asks, who is your favorite new author, either new to you or debut? Mine is not a debut. I've heard her name going around a lot, but that would be Robin Wall Kimmerer. I only have a copy of Braiding Sweetgrass. That might be the most familiar one to people. This is the one I think that I knew about first. But I was looking for books literally about like the forest and about moss, and I came upon the book that I did read, which was Gathering Moss. So she writes a lot of like the indigenous perspective about nature with the scientific education and knowledge that she has throughout her career. And Gathering Moss was so fascinating. Granted, I was looking for books about moss for my own writing, and I wanted to understand moss a little bit better. And I did. I mean, the book was so beautifully written. I opened it and I was reading the first part and I was like, this is like poetry, but I'm learning something, because I've read some like decent books, like nature related books that are fun or interesting, but I was like, I felt like my feet were in the moss. Like it made me like question if I should go back to school and get a biology degree, like in plant biology, and just like work in a lab the rest of my life, which I don't think I would hate. And I'm going to be reading this one very soon. New favorite author, just like anything she's putting out now, I'm like, I need to grab that. The other book she has out is The Serviceberry, and I will also be reading that in the future, but I know I need to get to this one. My mom started it recently. She said it was already beautiful. I'm just so excited. I love her so much. So that's my new favorite author. So the next question is new fictional crush from a book. Honestly, I couldn't actually think of a lot that I really was crushing on. Back to Kingfisher, because again, my favorite. I read Thornhedge this year. It's a short little cute book. Also, can we talk about, I'm pretty sure she does her own art on the inside. We're just gonna, welcome to my world of distraction and obsession. But look at the inside, and also a toad. Okay, so Thornhedge is kind of a cool little novella, with her very much magical but kind of dark tone. But there is a character in this book, a sort of romantic knight love interest named Halim, and I just think, and this just goes out to every guy in her books, every romantic interest for the main female characters that Kingfisher writes, like, they are so funny and flawed, but in like a acceptable way, not in a toxic way. They're just reliable, but still people. And Halim is a great character in this. I liked him. As far as new favorite characters go, my new favorite character is from a book I don't really have with me. I'm just gonna maybe put it up there, because again, I loaned it to my mother. That would be Homa from The Lion Women of Tehran. So I also read The Stationery Shop by this author this year because I really liked The Lion Women, but that first book I read is more my favorite, and so much because of not the main focus character, though pretty heavily centered on character, Homa. It's the main character's best friend, and their friendship is the center of this story. Dealing with a lot of the turbulence politically, and Homa was such an inspiration to me, like in an intersectional feminist perspective, but so inspirational. And I just think about her character, and as she gets older, a lot of like how she deals with the world and how she stands up against oppression. So inspiring to me. I had a lot of favorite characters, but I really liked that one. And a lot of my favorite characters also in these books, I've already mentioned the books, but that one character, Homa, was like the grounding point for that story, and I really loved it. So I highly recommend her work, and that character was really awesome. So, okay, now a book that made you cry. This is like, I'm okay that I cried, and it's such a somber and beautifully written book. It actually put me into a reading slump. I like DNF'd 3 books after this and I thought I was never going to read again, and that would be On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. One of the most beautiful books I've ever read. Also, randomly. Oh yeah, it was a really pretty bookmark that I put in there. Randomly, I just love the color that's inside. That doesn't mean anything. This book was so beautiful. This is written as a letter from a son to a mother, specifically a mother who cannot read. This deals with a lot. It's written very poetically. It's so funny because I feel like it has such sturdy structure, and it's written almost like a long form essay, and you'd be surprised how well everything is tied back together. It's plain and it's simple and it is what it is. It's actually so hopeful despite how devastating at points it was, and it did make me cry, but in a way that really made me appreciate things. I would have said Shark Heart made me cry more, but like the tone in On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous was just so different from anything I've read. Next is the book that made me really happy, or a book that made me happy. And a lot of these books did. I did read a lot of sad books, but the happiest, but also one of the most well-written happy books I've read was Green Teeth by Molly O'Neill. I loved this book. It was compared to Kingfisher. I mean, it has Kingfisher's quote on the title, but it was compared to Kingfisher in that it deals with this like monstrous fantasy. It has kind of a Arthurian tale vibe with it, but it also has a lot of humor in it. Then you follow the creature Jenny Greenteeth as she helps a human witch deal with a sort of malevolent presence that is now in her village. So good, and like it had real stakes, but it never like actually lost the tone for me, and I was happy with this one. And now the most beautiful book I've read this year. I would say this is true about the prose and the book physically itself, but I mean usually when I talk about this, I'm talking about the physical copy. So I read The River Has Roots by Amal El Motar. So good. This author co-wrote This Is How You Lose the Time War, which was that like sci-fi poetic novella romance. Very popular. This one also so beautiful. I can't explain the magic in this, but grammar is somehow magic and poetic and so beautiful, and there's a love story in it, and there's like a story of sisterhood, and then like, so this is beautiful. Like I was seeing this cover. I love when a book is embossed in like a small hardcover. It's like a thing for me, as you can tell. And look at the little chicken. Anyway, I love this book. It was so stunning. I'm on board with this author now. I want more little novellas like this, and I think I'm gonna make a video about weird little books because this qualifies. But beautiful cover. I couldn't stop looking at it. I love the colors, and the writing inside also matches the cover, which I think is important for me. I hate when a cover is beautiful and the book is meh. I think I'm like, okay, why waste that? And then the final question is, what books do I need to read by the end of the year? I'm kind of a mood reader with a soft TBR. Like I'll be like, oh, I'll read that in October during Halloween times, or this will be great for the summer or for my birthday, or if I'm happy or sad, I save books for that mood, but I know I'm gonna reach that soon. That being said, I never know what I'm going to read for sure. Right now I am reading, and this probably will match Shark Heart with best books of the year, and that would be Blood Over Brighthaven by Emma Wong, who wrote The Sword of Kaigan, which was one of my favorite books ever. I'm obsessed with it right now. That's all I'm thinking about for the most part. I am going to read Braiding Sweetgrass, but as far as books I haven't mentioned, I do plan on finishing what is released of the Loch Tomb series. So I'm going to read Nona the Ninth by the end of the year. I also want to read Babel. But anyway, you guys are the best. And thanks for bearing with me. And I will be back with another video. Bye.